All right. So let me preface this by saying that I think both of these games are excellent. This video is not about saying one is good and the other is bad. No, they're both excellent. I love Skyrim. I had a blast playing Oblivion. I thought it had a very unique, original story. I thought the going into Gates of Oblivion to steal this power source called a Sigil Stone, to close the gates, and then as a reward you could use the Sigil Stone to upgrade your equipment. I thought that was a very cool, unique game mechanic. I love the way they did alchemy in this system. And the fact that combat is not as OP as it is in Skyrim makes that alchemy not just viable, but highly beneficial and useful. I love the spell crafting. I didn't know that was a thing, and I'm very disappointed that Skyrim doesn't have it. I think being able to build your own spells with combining different spell effects it's a very unique way of doing magic. It's something that I had never considered or thought of before. I feel like I have played all the way through the Thieves Guild, the Dark Brotherhood, most of the Mages Guild, and about half of the Fighters Guild, as well as the entire main quest line, all of the Shivering Isles, Knights of the Nine, and the downloaded DLC, the Armor of Order and the Armor of Pandemonium stuff. So, I mean, obviously there's a lot of stuff out there. Oh, I also did all of the Daedra Shrine quests. And I did a few other random quests here and there. So I did quite a bit of this game. I know there's a sizable chunk left that I haven't done, but I feel like I've done enough that I really got a good sense of the flavor and the vibe and the energy of this game. And I do like that flavor. I do like that energy. The whole doom and gloom thing, and the embers raining from the sky, and the very dramatic music. It's all, I like it. It feels very apocalyptic. This game feels like an apocalypse. Skyrim, and I played Morrowind as well, and that's a through line, is that every game, it's like there's an apocalypse that's going to happen. They in Morrowind, if I remember, they were going to wake up the Numidium using the Heart of Lorkhan, and you had to use Kagranak's tools to, I don't know, destroy the heart so they couldn't do it or something like that. And it was very, was it Azura? Was like the focal deity in that one. But that game, while it did feel like there was an apocalypse, it felt more like a war than the end of the world. It felt very much like what I imagine like being in Berlin in World War II was, where it's like, there's fighting going on over that way. And at night we can see the explosions and we can hear them. But here, it's not that bad. We're not at the front line. And Skyrim kind of felt that way too. There's a civil war going on, and somewhere in the world there's a big black dragon flying around that's going to eat the world. But, Riverwood, like, they're just, chugging along, tending their farms and chopping wood. Oblivion, that felt like an apocalypse. Like the world was literally ending. And there were characters that really, I think probably the most excited character in all of Skyrim was that old lady you walk past, and when you first walk into Riverwood, and she goes, "A dragon! I saw a dragon!" And everybody's like, "Oh, shut up, you crazy old lady." Whereas the guy that you meet as you are approaching Kvatch, and he goes, "Run for your lives! We're all gonna die!" He sounded terrified and really set the tone going forward. And then as you're walking up the hill and the sky starts to get red and darken, and you start hearing thunder, and little embers start gently floating down like little red glowing snowflakes, and you get to the top and you see this big red fiery portal. And then as you play through the game, you see them popping up all over the place, and they don't all pop up at the same time. There are places early in the game where there's no portal, and you come back later, there's a new portal. And it really does make it feel like there's an active invasion, not just of one region, of the entire world. And the tone that it sets for the game is very unique, and it stands apart from both Morrowind and Skyrim. Now, Skyrim, on the other hand, had a lot of political intrigue. It had a lot of negotiating between Jarl Balgruuf and Ulfric Stormcloak and what's his name, the Imperial General guy, and like the Thalmor Embassy thing and the Blades, and there was a lot of espionage. It was a very kind of a spy thriller vibe on that front, and the whole Alduin thing and the Dragonborn DLC. It made it feel like there was the Dragonborn DLC, to me, kind of was reminiscent of New Vegas. Was it Lonesome Road or Lonely Road? Where you had to go across the divide and you met that other courier. It kind of had some notes of that to it. Because in this, you are going across a divide of water to an island, and you are meeting another Dragonborn who stands in opposition to you. And instead of launching a nuke, you're helping Hermaeus Mora, who's a guy who can do as much damage to the world as a nuke. It also, because in both cases, those two quests were like the final chapter, the last mile that you had to walk as that character. And so they had there was also this, because in Solstheim, you can see the volcano erupting in the distance, and there's ash everywhere. And it's got that same kind of energy as those red lights blinking in the distance as you're walking down the cliff face of the divide, and there's this red orange sunset, and there's ash everywhere. And the sunset's not orange because it's it's a beautiful sunset on the beach. It's orange because there's smog and smoke and soot and dust in the air from the bombs that went off there not too long ago. And you had that same kind of energy, in my opinion, especially when you went further to the east side of the island, and particularly the southeast corner, where you were so close you could actually see Red Mountain in the distance with smoke billowing out of it. And there was just scorched land everywhere, and fires everywhere, and burnt trees and burnt Spriggans. And I didn't really feel like there was a DLC like that in, I guess Shivering Isles, but Shivering Isles, the tone and the mood was so different. Of course, I went with the mania side instead of, maybe if I had gone on the depression side, it might have been different. Might have been more somber. But, I did go on the depression side of the island eventually, and it didn't have that same kind of walking that last mile, living with what I've done, carrying that weight for the rest of my life kind of thing. Like your interactions with the other courier and your interactions with Miraak and Hermaeus Mora. Not to say that Shivering Isles wasn't great. Shivering Isles was so creative and so beautiful and so much fun, especially in the remaster. It was that first scene when you get there and the butterflies fly everywhere and the walls disappear. That was so clever and so eye-catching, and it really set the tone for the entire DLC going forward. But there were things, I feel like the stories, aside from the main story arc, I feel like the stories, the quest lines, the quest objectives in Oblivion felt, I don't have a better word for it, but the word that comes to mind is shallow. Like there wasn't a whole lot of depth. It was, every quest was either go here and kill this guy or go here and get this item and bring it back. And every quest felt like that. Every quest was, it felt kind of samey. Like, oh, hey, there's a bad person doing a bad thing, go kill them. Or there's a thing here that we want, go and get it and bring it back. Whereas in Skyrim, like there's a quest where a new hand touches the beacon. Like you don't have to go and get something. You have the thing. You have to go and put it back. And this takes you all the way across the map. It is such a long trek from when you first get it all the way to her shrine. And then, yes, of course, once you get there, there's a bad guy doing a bad thing and you have to kill him. But that first part of the quest where it's like, okay, I've got this thing. And yes, it gets annoying after a while, but that first time, you're like, ooh, a shiny. And then you hear this voice of a god who's like, I want you to take that and put it in a place. It's, another example is the quest at the end of the Thieves Guild quest line in Skyrim, where you have the skeleton key and Carlia tells you you've got to go put it back in the sepulcher. And you're like, what's the first time I've ever set to give something back that was stolen? And she's like, yeah, strange times. I liked the fact that there was a quest to cure your vampirism. There wasn't anything quite like that. I mean, yeah, there's a quest to cure your vampirism in Oblivion, but it's way more complicated. The quest to cure your vampirism in Skyrim is you just go to this town and you talk to that wizard that nobody likes. You bring him a black soul gem, and then you meet him out in the swamp at 3 a.m, and he does a ritual and you're cured. It wasn't like, okay, well, I need this, and this. And then when you get me those things, I need 5 of these ingredients, 10 of these, 6 of those, 1 of those. Some of these are super stupidly rare. There's a vampire you got to go kill. Bring me this specific vampire and then bring me his ashes. And it's like, oh my God, why is this so complicated? And I'm glad that they added in that player home that has the spring where you just go and get there's like a little mineral deposit. You grab some of the mineral and then you go and drink from the fountain and boom, you're cured. That was a lifesaver because I got infected with vampirism for a video and I didn't want it. And I was like, oh, that could be a headache to get rid of this. And then I found out about this fountain and I'm like, oh, okay, well that simplifies. I don't like the fact that a lot of the gear in Oblivion is leveled items. Yes, there are leveled items in Skyrim, but there's also a lot of items that aren't, their stats are identical no matter what level you pick them up. So you can go and if you can find a way to complete a quest that gives you a powerful item and you can get it, you can unlock that item and have that powerful item like really early in the game. There seem to be like holes in the items list. Like, for example, I was looking for some good enchanted greaves and there just aren't any. There are no greaves. And that's another thing is there's too many pieces of armor. In Skyrim, you've got your armor suit, your boots, your gloves, your helmet, 1 ring, an amulet, and a shield. And in Oblivion, they split the armor into 2 pieces, so that's an extra piece you got there. And then they also give you an extra ring. And so you have, some would say that's a good thing because it gives you extra freedom. But I suppose if you go back to Morrowind, there's even more pieces because you can enchant your pauldrons and you can enchant your chest plates separately. There's, and so they've slowly been condensing how many items you have to enchant. The enchanting system in Oblivion was very lackluster. You could only enchant very basic, weak things, and there was no way to improve that. That was something I felt like they really did well and upgraded in Skyrim, as opposed to the magic system, which was a serious downgrade in Skyrim. I also liked the alchemy in Oblivion better. The alchemy in Skyrim was more simplified. There weren't as many options. And the way that they did it allowed for glitches like the resto loop glitch, which, I don't know, even when I don't use that glitch, it's like if they were to put an easy mode into Dark Souls. Even if you don't use it, it's there. That there's a way to make this easier. You don't have to do this the hard way. Just go and do it. Just push the button. That's all you got to do. And there's a little, devil on my shoulder that's ruining the game for me, whispering in my ear, just do the easy mode. Just go make the dagger with 1,000,000 points of damage. Just do it. And, you know, it's not game ruining for me, but it's still just knowing that that glitch exists because of the haphazard way that they did alchemy in this game. It almost felt like an afterthought, whereas the alchemy system in Oblivion, it actually felt more fleshed out. I liked the alchemy system. I liked the fact that you had tools that can make your alchemy better. I felt like there weren't a whole lot of options in Oblivion for character builds. There's less versatility. And I think that's one thing that is like reflected in the way Bethesda has developed its games over the years. If you look at Morrowind, and then Fallout 3, and then New Vegas, and then Oblivion came first, and then New Vegas, and then Skyrim, and then Fallout 4. In each successive game, the character building system, the perk system, if you will, has gotten progressively better and better and more detailed and more diverse in the options on how to build your character. And I would really like to see something like what they had in the Fallout 4 system, where there's all these different perks, and in a normal playthrough where you're only going to make it to level 30, 40, 50, somewhere in there, you're not going to get all of them. You're not going to have enough points. So you could say, all right, well, this time I'm going to build a tanky guy with a lot of hit points, and he uses a sledgehammer. And the next time you can go, all right, well, this time I'm going to use a sniper who's so stealthy. And then the next time after that, you're like, all right, well, I'm going to use a guy who uses explosives or cast spells from far away. You know, and that, I just didn't feel like that was there in Oblivion, because, like, for starters, blunt is not viable. Blunt weapons in Oblivion, I mean, I shouldn't say they're not viable. They're viable, but in my opinion, they're actually worse than unarmed. I would rather be unarmed than use a mace or a sledgehammer, because sledgehammers are so slow, and as a result, even though their base damage is so much higher than a dagger, but they're so slow that their DPS, not DPS, their damage over time is less than a dagger. Your damage per shot is higher on a hammer, but it's so slow that, and yeah, the trade-off is range, but I would rather, at that point, I'd just rather use a bow. If I'm going long range, I want a bow. If I'm going melee, I want a dagger. I want to hit you fast. And the fact that there's like this hard cap on how much damage you can deal, whereas in Skyrim, there's just not. And boy, I have different opinions of the difficulty systems as a result of that. I play Skyrim exclusively on legendary difficulty because the game feels too easy for me otherwise. In Oblivion, and maybe that was the intended effect, in Oblivion, I played through on very hard difficulty my first playthrough. And boy, did I feel like everybody was just slapping me around like I stole something. I mean, I was in the Thieves Guild, so I probably did steal something, but and the thing is, there's no way to, there's only two ways, right? There's number 2 on my list of top 10, which was the most powerful weapon in the game, that very specific set of enchantments on a dagger. That's option 1. Option 2, poison. And if you're doing poison, you're probably putting it on that same dagger, or you're putting it on the bow that I created. That's it. Those are your options. If you're playing on the hardest difficulty setting, those are the only viable options. Unarmed, forget about it. Maces and longswords, forget about it. Those are your only options. They don't, the maces and the swords and axes of all kinds, none of them swing fast enough to have any kind of effect anywhere near comparable to what you can do with a dagger or a bow. So overall, while I do think that Oblivion is an excellent game, and it's a lot of fun, and I am going to keep playing it, I think I kind of got to go with the hot take here and say that Skyrim is better. And we don't even have the graphics to blame anymore, because the graphics in Oblivion are now better than Skyrim's. But you know what? I'm going to give the story. The story is better in Oblivion. I'll give it that. but the actual gameplay, the leveling system, I hate sleeping to level up. I hate that. I know that's been a thing since forever, and they just got rid of it for Skyrim. I mean, look, there is one advantage to it, and I will credit it with this. Because when to level up, you need to sleep, and you only level up one level per sleeping, it means that, like, for example, if I go out and I get 5, and this has happened to me in Skyrim, right? Where I'll go and kill a bunch of stuff, I'll go run through a dungeon, and then at the end, I'm like, oh, I gotta level up. And then I'll take 3 levels all at once. And it's like, well, I missed all that training. I could have gone to a trainer and, you know, if I leveled up 3 times, that's 10 ranks of a skill that I could have gotten that might have actually given me another level. Whereas in Oblivion, I level up once, go to the trainer. Level up once, go to the trainer. Level up once, go to the trainer. I don't miss any ranks. And so that allows you to, like, for example, go and grind out alchemy really hard, right? And then when you go to level up, like if you go, because alchemy is like one of the easiest things to grind out super fast. So like I can get from 0 alchemy to 100 alchemy in like 30 minutes. And then all of those levels that I get from the alchemy, I just go to the archery trainer and I train 5 ranks, sleep, train 5 ranks, sleep. And so by the time I'm done, I have 100 in alchemy and I have like 85 or 86 in archery. So that is the strength of that system. And I do appreciate it for that. It does bring that value to the table where you can't do that with Skyrim. With Skyrim, the moment you level up, you have to drop what you're doing and go to the trainer or you just miss that level. And I'm sorry. The Dwemer are just cooler than the Aelids. I'm sorry. They are. The Dwemer ruins, the Markarth, all the steam-powered stuff, the steam-powered golems, the dwarven spheres, and the lore behind the Dwemer. With Kagernak and the sound-powered machinery and stuff like that, the tonal architecture. All of that stuff is so cool. I'm not saying the Aelids aren't cool. There's some cool lore in there. The Aelids are fun, but they got nothing on the Dwemer. The Dwemer are just awesome. And I mean, there were no like puzzle boxes or you know, there were no like weird puzzles in Oblivion that really stand out in my mind. It was just, oh, there's a door you got to get through. Good luck finding the switch. Whereas in Oblivion, like, there were puzzles, there were keys, there were claws, there were, you know, there were runes that you had to decipher. You know, you had to figure stuff out. There were, you know, there was more nuance. There was more subtlety. There was more, it challenged your brain. It, you know, it made you think more. Again, that's just my opinion. Not saying that Oblivion is bad. Oblivion is not bad. Oblivion is a great game, and I love it. But I'm sorry, I gotta go with Skyrim. Skyrim is just a better game. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Thank you for listening to me rant. If you disagree, if I missed something, if you want to argue, or if you have an opinion on about something that you think I got wrong and you want to tell me off in the comments down below. Politely, let's keep it civil discourse here. But yeah, that's all I got. So for now, thanks for checking out my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.